Hey, Sturridge Chapel, this is Don Pierson and Don Counts, and this is Friday's devotion, and we're in Numbers 32. We'll start with verse 20 and read on down through verse 24. Then Moses said to them, if you do this thing, chapter 32 of Numbers, if you do this thing, if you arm yourselves with the Lord for the war, with all your armed men, cross over the Jordan before the Lord until he has driven out his enemies from before him, and the land is subdued before the Lord, then afterwards you may return and be blameless before the Lord and before Israel. And this land shall be your possession before the Lord. But if you do not do so, then take note, you have sinned against the Lord, and surely your sin will find you out. Build cities for your little ones and folds for your sheep, and do what has proceeded out of your mouth. In other words, do what you have promised. And the children of Gad said, and the children of Reuben spoke to Moses, saying, your servants will do as my Lord commands. You see, Gad and Reuben and a half tribe of Manasseh, Manasseh wanted to stay on the other side of the Jordan River. They had been there 40 years, raised, and they had made up they had become home, and they wanted to stay there. But the commitment was that they would go across the Jordan with the rest of the tribes of Israel and conquer the land, and then when that was done, they would be able to return home. But there was a warning. If you do not go and do as you have said, know that your sin will find you out. Your sin will find you out. They were to arm themselves for war, cross over into the enemy's territory armed, fight until victory had come. Or their sin would find them out. Now, I'm not proud of this story. In fact, it was wrong. There was nothing right about it. This happened when I was working with the convention. It was like normal. I was traveling all the time, and we had just moved here. When we first moved here, there wasn't much to this place. It was rough. We had a bunch of chickens, and there wasn't any place. You heard about how they got in the house. This was even before we added the part in the back where they got into the house. The front porch was filled with our washing machine, our dryer, our refrigerator. Everything was on the front porch because there was no house for that stuff. There was 2 old wooden rockers out there, and the chickens had gone to roosting on the front porch on top of that stuff, and Trish and I would spend most of our time, as we would notice, running them off. Well, I had done a conference somewhere in Tennessee, and I had been coming home, and it's like 1 o'clock in the morning. I walk up on the porch, right next to the door, to the right of the door, was one of those wooden rockers. Sitting on top of that wooden rocker was a hen, a red hen. It was Trish's favorite red hen. Notice I said was. There's a reason for this. I'm opening that door, and I see that hen there, and I go like that. All I wanted to do was just knock it off of the rocker where it was roosting, because we didn't want them up there. I just went like that. That's all I wanted to do was knock it off. Well, I hit that thing right in the head, and guess what? I broke its neck, and that hen fell right down on the ground. It didn't make a sound. It didn't move. I knew immediately, oh my goodness, I'm in trouble. Trish is not going to like that. It's late at night, and I do something very, very deceitful. I pick up that chicken. I walk out to the road, and I put it in the middle of the road. I laid that dead chicken right in the middle of the road. I knew when I did it that Trish would get up early that morning before me. She would let me sleep in because it was late that night. She would get up, and as she got out, She would see that dead chicken in the road and she would think that thing got hit by a car. But see, I forgot that she usually went to work pretty much before daylight. She got up, she went out, she saw that chicken, and sure enough, she came back. She said, "You killed my chicken, didn't you?" And I thought, man, how in the world did she know me that well? My sin found me out. Now, it's kind of funny now, but it wasn't funny then. You know what? It's never funny when your sins find you out, is it? That's a stupid story, a story that I'm not proud of at all, about a stupid chicken. And all I should have done was just left it lay there and tell her in the morning, I went like that, a little bit too hard, and I killed that chicken. The truth is, I've done other things where my sins have found me out. Your sins will find you out sooner or later. That which is done in the dark will be seen in the light. Sooner or later, your sins will find you out. Love you, Stewart's Chapel.